11 o'clock, Friday edition of Three Man Front. My name's Landrum. His name is Pat. Her name is Molly. Conrad is back at some point. Hope everything's going well. I know he's listening to the show. Hope everything's good. Be well. Well, we know we had storm damage last night here in the area. Hopefully everybody recouping, everybody's safe and okay. I walked out to my truck this morning and it was slow to start. Thinking battery, is it the starter, potentially alternator? You know what? I don't know. I'm not a mechanic, not smart enough to figure that stuff out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to the garage in Pelham. The garage in Pelham, that's who I trust to take care of things like that, where they're going to check it out and say, hey, Landrum, look, you missed this. Or, yeah, you got a significant problem. They can handle everything from alternators, batteries, oil changes, to heaven forbid, an engine replacement. Just check out the reviews there at the garage in Pelham. They're top-notch for a reason. They're trusted, and they do business the right way. It's certainly worth the drive, the short drive, just across Metro Birmingham. It's right there off of 31 in Pelham. It's the garage in Pelham, thegarageinpelham.com. Bob is the owner. Say hello, and that you heard it on Jocks, or when you walk in to a very clean, professional lobby, you can go and see guys like Robert and Richie. They're going to take care of you. It's the garage. Just check out the reviews. You're going to see why people keep going back. That's why I am taking my truck to the garage. That's why my wife will take her car to the garage. Thegarageinpelham.com. Always tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
He joins us every Friday on the program from Bama 247. Mike Rodak joins us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Mike, I hope you're doing well on this Friday. I wanted to start with a bit of news that you reported this morning, that the NCAA has filed its expected motion opposing Charles Bediako receiving an interim injunction from the Alabama Supreme Court. Is there anything else you can add to that, or is it pretty plain and simple? That's all we got.
Yeah, kind of cut and dried in terms of, Bediako obviously was denied the injunction in Tuscaloosa court. That happened, 3 weeks ago now. Hasn't played since because of that, and last week filed his appeal to the Alabama Supreme Court, and as part of that, is trying to get an injunction pending appeal, basically saying I can play until the appeal is decided. Procedurally, he had to go to the same judge in Tuscaloosa first, Daniel Pruitt. He denied him right away. And secondly, he can go to the Supreme Court and ask for that injunction. So that's what happened on whatever day it was this week. I've already forgotten. And then the NCAA, of course, is going to file their motion saying we don't want this to happen because we've already, won in court in Tuscaloosa. So there could be a ruling today. It's entirely possible that the Supreme Court decides whether or not to issue the injunction. And in this case, the interim injunction is really the same as the appeal. I mean, he's looking to play right now. And so if they were to grant him an interim injunction, that's basically saying the appeal is won, because the preliminary injunction, the whole purpose of that was to play the rest of this season. So I don't know if there's a big difference there, in terms of would they give him the interim injunction and then deny the appeal? That wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. I think any sort of case that gets to the Supreme Court, the odds are pretty low. Statistically, you can look it up. It's probably 10%, less than 10% of cases that get appealed are going to win. So it's really a case of, will this Hail Mary work? And if it does, then, he's probably playing the rest of the year. And if it doesn't, then I think that's really the last hurdle, the last thing that he would have to use that would allow him to play this year. I don't think there's another option for him after this.
All right, my last Bediako question, and it has to do with, I guess, just some logistics. Is he currently traveling with the team, or is he in Tuscaloosa? Where is he? And let's say the Alabama Supreme Court comes back, gives him the injunction. How quickly can he get to Knoxville, and would he be able to play immediately in regards to, has he been practicing with the team, et cetera?
It's a good question. I don't know exactly where he is at this moment. I did see that he was in Puerto Rico last night with the Canadian team, the FIBA team. So logistically, I guess there would be some sort of a thing to overcome there in terms of getting from point A to point B and getting in Knoxville tomorrow. I don't think he's practiced with them right now. I think there have been points within the last few weeks when he's practiced, and that's something that Nate Oates has talked about. But in terms of what the exact timeline has been, I'm not sure. At the end of the day, if he was to get an interim injunction granted today, I just have a hard time seeing him being a big part of the game plan tomorrow in Tennessee. Like I think you could certainly use him, throw him out there. He knows the system. The same deal as the first Tennessee game. But I don't know if it's a case of like he's practiced with them all week and he knows exactly what to do, and they're going to give him big minutes. Like I just don't know if that would be the case.
As for the matchup, Alabama trying to exact revenge. Bediako's debut coming against Tennessee. First half much different than the second half with Tennessee pulling away. This Alabama team, though, it's hard to deny what they're doing, and it seems like they're clicking on all cylinders. Without Filine the other night, everybody else stepping up. You got Aiden Sherrill playing like people hoped he had played. I think it's the best that Alabama's played all season. You've watched them, you cover them. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's all relative.
Right.
I think like the best game that they've played all year, you have to go back to November. Like going to Illinois
Yep.
and winning in Chicago, that's still their best win. And Illinois is a borderline 1 seed right now, probably a 2 seed, but they could be a 1 seed. So, they played really like going to St. John's, Madison Square Garden, like they played well early in the season. Even the Purdue game that they lost, like they wasn't a terrible game for them. So, you know, where exactly their peak has fallen, I don't know. I think injuries obviously played a role in some of the ups and downs through the middle of the season. I think the schedule softening up the last couple of weeks has helped, like playing Ole Miss, playing Mississippi State, playing South Carolina, playing LSU. Like you're playing bottom tier SEC teams. That's helped. That's absolutely has helped. So it's hard to say exactly. I do think the first half of this past game, I've already forgotten in my mind who they just played. Help me out.
Oh, Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the first half of that game obviously was, just runaway train.
Yeah.
Like 63 points, you're up by 30 points. Like that's what you want to see. But still, like there's questions. And you're going to play tougher teams, starting with Tennessee. I think Georgia and Auburn are both decent enough teams that they're capable of winning that game. And then obviously from there, look, I think for this team, there's two big questions. If you can get a 2 or 3 seed in the SEC tournament, that's going to help you to avoid Florida until the finals. And maybe you can get Florida a little bit tired on the finals of the SEC tournament. If they play a 7-man rotation, that's a third game in 3 days, maybe you can get a chance to beat Florida. From there, I think it's really a question of if you're a 4 or 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, which they're lining up to be right now, that's putting you straight to play a 1 seed in the Sweet 16. And can you beat a Duke? Can you beat an Arizona? Can you beat who's the other? Michigan. Really the top 3 teams in the country. You probably have to play one of those in the Sweet 16 as things look right now. So all this in the interim, it's nice, but you're probably going to have to beat one of those teams in the Sweet 16. That's kind of the big thing in front of you right now.
All right, let's talk about this game against Tennessee. Tennessee has won 5 in a row against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Last win coming back in 2021 for the Tide. And this Tennessee team, it's going to be a different Alabama team that the Vols see tomorrow on Rocky Top, because a couple big guys for Alabama was injured the last time that the Tide played them, and the Tide almost beat them down in Coleman Coliseum. Just give us a little preview in your mind about tomorrow night's game against the Vols.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a team that's kind of had their number lately. Alabama hasn't scored more than 76 points against Rick Barnes's Tennessee teams. In fact, the last time I think an Alabama team has scored 80 points or more against Tennessee, I think back to 2008. So kind of from the start, you know that this is going to be a lower scoring game, probably a little bit slower pace the way Tennessee plays. And it's a very good defensive team. And it seems every single time Tennessee plays Alabama, they can push you around, they can play good defense. And then it's really a matter of how strong is your defense relative to Tennessee's offense. So, there's been teams that have gotten Tennessee this year. Missouri just did it. Kentucky's done it twice, I think. Tennessee's taken some losses. There's been games where they haven't shot the ball very well, but as we all saw, Nate Ament is a very tough cover, and it's going to help that you have Amari Allen back, who didn't play in the first Tennessee game, and he's a little bit bigger, and maybe you can match him up against Nate Ament. And he's such a tough guy. It's 6'10", and he's so accurate from the mid-range, like he's shooting right over you. And Taylor Bowen's probably your other, potential cover there. But, Amari Allen's a good defender and a little bit bigger and tougher. And, I would like him in that matchup. So That's one thing to watch. Jacoby Gillespie, can he get going from three? And it's usually like Tennessee's defense is going to lock you down to a certain degree. It's really about Tennessee's offense and can they score enough. And I can see it going either way for Alabama. I think there's been some pretty good defensive games that they've shown, and when they're all healthy and capable, it's certainly a team that can go up there and win in Knoxville. But obviously, it's been a pretty bad stretch here for Alabama overall against Tennessee, going back the last 5 games, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and Mike, when you go back to Alabama, Tennessee they're not going to get up as many easy looks. Alabama's not against this Tennessee defense, and limiting the three and the quality threes that you get. If Tennessee is effectively able to do that, like they did in Tuscaloosa, where does Alabama go? Because it doesn't seem like you have that dribble drive type of guy like you've had in the past with some of Nate Oates' players.
Right. It's a good question. I think in the first Tennessee game, especially in the first half, they were going to the lob to Bediako. I mean, he had 13 points in that game, and there were some open looks that they had, and then Tennessee kind of took that away in the second half, and offensively, Alabama just wasn't really able to have an answer. So it's a good question. And, look, I think you have to first start with the question of what's LeBaron Philon's status. And I think we'll learn more about that from Nate Oates at 12:30 today, but they sat him against Mississippi State in the midweek. He had seen a specialist about his leg. And if he does play against Tennessee, is he 100%, or does he kind of look limited like he was against LSU? And I think that's part of the equation when you're talking about trying to score, trying to get Philon to the rim. Like, how healthy is he? Is he playing at all? That's kind of the first question. But, yeah, it comes down to you're still trying to move the ball, which they've done a better job of, and get some open looks for Holloway and Wrightsell and Millette and Allen, and seeing how many of those you can hit. But yeah, I don't know if there's going to be, a great inside game. Obviously, you want to keep Sherrill out of foul trouble, and you're probably gonna have to play Noah Williamson a decent amount too, because Tennessee plays, multiple bigs. With Estrella now back from injury too, it's another guy, big guy that you have to cover for Tennessee.
Talking to Mike Rodak for a few more minutes from Bama 247, joins us every Friday here on Three Man Front as we talking basketball for the Alabama Crimson Tide as they're heading to Rocky Top this weekend, taking on the Tennessee Vols. That's a 5:00 tip-off on ESPN. All right, so let me ask you about the SEC as a whole. We can all agree that Florida looks like a Final Four potential type team. When Selection Sunday comes on the Mike Rodak bracket, how many teams from the Southeastern Conference will make it?
Ooh, that's a good question. I haven't looked in totality. I think isn't it right around 8 or 9? I know there's obviously some teams in the bubble. Auburn seems like they're on the good side of the bubble right now.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia can obviously pick up a really big win if they beat Alabama on Tuesday night. Missouri's playing better lately. They're in it. So, yeah, it's right in that range. I would have to look at a list in front of me, but I think for Alabama specifically, does it really matter whether you're a 4 or 5 seed? I don't know if it does. The committee had them as a 5 seed last weekend. Maybe you can flip them with Vandy after Vandy lost the other day, but like 4 or 5 seeds are going to play each other in the second round. So it doesn't really matter at that point. And then, like I said, you're playing a 1 seed in the Sweet 16. And I think you're just trying to get in a situation, maybe you can get a little bit of an easier break if you're not playing Duke, Arizona, or Michigan. If you're playing that 4th 1 seed and it's a UConn or an Iowa State or an Illinois, maybe you feel a little bit better about that. But those first 3 teams, man, those are good teams. And I don't know if you're beating them in the Sweet 16, to be honest.
Is there a tournament site that you've already started scouting where you hope the Tide lands as opposed to maybe a Spokane, Washington?
Mike loved New Jersey because he could get some White Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, beautiful Newark. That was an interesting experience last year. They had a media party, and they had like some Newark tourism people that like sat down at the tables with us at the media party. And
You mean there's
like,
actual people that work for Newark tourism? Wow.
Yeah, there's like a whole operation. They were asking us like, what can we do to improve Newark? Like,
oh.
How long do you got?
What a loaded question.
Right.
How uncomfortable was that?
Yeah. I mean, we took the train into to Manhattan last year. But in terms of the first and second round sites, I mean, there's one that just it's the shining star for me. It's Buffalo. My liver would not like that. That would be a bad week for my liver. But if they do happen to play in Buffalo, there would obviously be a ton of storylines with Nate Oates.
Yeah.
A ton of storylines with myself. I guess there's a 1 out of 8 chance that they'll be going there. I don't know. Other than that, I don't think there's anywhere that's particularly close. I think Greenville is one of them. I don't know if there's going to be a ton of Alabama fans in any of those sites. And I think it's really a matter of where the Sweet 16 Elite 8 site would be. I think you might get some fans there. But again, if you're playing right now, like CBS Sports has Alabama playing Duke in the Sweet 16 in Washington, D.C. That's not a very long drive for Duke fans from North Carolina. That's going to be, if that game happens, 90% Duke fans at least.
No, interesting that they just played there
tough game
against Michigan to simulate that tournament atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so if they get to return there, okay.
Before we let you go, Mike, I wanted to ask you about football. We've got football spring ball getting ready to start right around the corner. Storylines for you outside of the quarterback race that will get most of the headlines.
Right, exactly. And I don't know if we're going to learn much about the quarterback race. I'm sure Mack and Russell will rotate with the ones, and we'll see a little bit of them on the A-Day event. But other than that, like, I don't know if there's a ton to learn about the quarterbacks, visually, publicly in the spring. I think for us, it's like going out there and just trying to look at who's lining up where along the offensive line and the defensive line. It's those two positions where they've brought in so many transfers and they've lost so many guys either to the draft or to the portal, where you're literally just writing down numbers and where guys are lining up and kind of what order they're going in, and just trying to get a handle on kind of where those pieces fit. Because, like Michael Carroll is one offensive lineman. The rest of the offensive line, I don't know. We'll find out. And there's, I'm sure, going to be a lot of rotation this spring. You have a lot of different options at the, left tackle through right guard spots. And that's one thing to watch. And then defensively, their big theme, no pun intended, is that they have gotten bigger along the defensive line. That's something that Kane Womack just talked about. He did a Yale Alabama interview this week that Kalen DeBoer has talked about. They feel like they've gotten physically larger in the front seven. And obviously you're losing some pretty big dudes. Tim Keenan's a big dude. LT Overton's a pretty big dude. James Smith was a big dude, but they've brought in Terrence Green, Kedrick Bingley Jones, Devin Tompkins. Like, they feel like they've gotten some grown men along the defensive line that they've brought in. So kind of where those guys line up, what they look like. That's something like visually that we're going to be watching once we're out there at practice.
How much of an impact do you believe that the oversight committee, NCAA football oversight committee, with what they're proposing with this penalty for coaches who circumvent the rules concerning the transfer portal? You think that has an impact, or you think coaches say, okay, well, we'll still have the wink and the nod. We're still tampering, officially put your name in the portal, but you're still coming here?
It's a good question. I think, it kind of goes back to something that Greg Sankey says a lot, which is like people want rules. Or people have said that they want rules, but they need to kind of show that they want rules. And so teams that I guess are deliberately going around the rules because it's working out for them, are they still going to follow, or are they going to kind of still do what has put them in a better position than where they were before? And a lot of schools have not signed that, was it a participation agreement, with the College Sports Commission?
Yeah, most of none of the Texas schools did, I think, out of the Big 12.
Right. So it basically binds them to a certain set of rules. And I think there's probably a mentality that's like, well, why do we need to do that? If this is working for us and we're, let's just say Texas Tech, and we just made a pretty good playoff run, like, why would we agree to this? But then people also say, like, well, we need guardrails, college sports is broken. We need more rules. Like, that kind of has to come together somewhere. And I think in this particular case, the whole portal idea, where we're going to penalize you if you circumvent the portal by having a guy, unenroll from school and then go to your school and enroll and do it outside the portal window. I still think that's ripe for a lawsuit, because the portal in general, there's probably a lawyer somewhere that's saying, is that an illegal restraint of trade? Is that an antitrust violation? This whole idea that you can only go into the portal during a certain window. There's no collective bargaining agreement that says that needs to be the case. And there's probably a legal challenge that's going to happen somewhere. And so the more you create rules to try to restrict the portal, I think the more you're opening yourself up to lawsuits that are going to eliminate those rules, which has happened with a lot of other things in college sports. So it could be a double-edged sword at the end of the day.
By the way, Mike, since you gave the story on the air to me and Pat about your affinity for White Castle and taking us back to the 14 hours you drove round trip, not involving a woman to get White Castle, I wanted to tell you I found some White Castle jalapeno cheeseburgers that were on clearance the other day, the frozen kind, and they were outstanding. If you see them, pick them up. 35 seconds aside, wrapped in a napkin.
For the record, not 14 hours, so it was 6 hours round trip, 3 hours.
We round up here.
Yeah,
I just don't want to be associated with someone who drove 14 hours to White Castle. I simply want to be associated.
You're okay with 6, but not 14. You're not that crazy.
Let's be honest, though. The portion of the country you are going to get these White Castles, that can turn into 14 hours.
Yeah, it was a very risky trip. I mean, I think I went across like the Verrazano Bridge, and I was, the Brooklyn, was it the 595, whatever it is? I could have been stuck in traffic for days. If there was a blizzard, like there just was, like what would happen there? I'd probably have to eat White Castle for 3 days straight.
It'll keep you alive. I know that.
Yeah.
And that fourth day, it'll be very entertaining.
Just try to get back as quickly as I can.
Yes, that's right. Mike, we always appreciate the time. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Hopefully you've scalped the Georgia now that the freeze is out of here, and you'll fertilize here in a couple of weeks.
I tried to get myself off the couch to do it this week. It hasn't happened, but I'm planning on doing it next week. And then, of course, I looked at the weather, and I'm like, maybe I should golf next week. Like, it's the last week before spring camp. It's in the 70s. Like, I should probably golf. What do you think?
Yes, I think you should golf.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
Mike,
do that instead.
We always appreciate the time. Thank you.
See you guys.
See you. Mike Rodak covers the Alabama Crimson Tide on the Higginbotham Hotline. 3-man front continues on this Friday.
11:26 on this Friday. We are wide open the rest of the way. Hope you'll keep us company. Take us along on the Jocks 94.5 app. You can always watch us on Jocks TV on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We appreciate that greatly. You know, your foundation and waterproofing specialist in Deep South Construction Pros. Deep South is a family-owned company with real Southern roots. If you're dealing with foundation issues or moisture problems, Deep South Construction Pros, they're the experts. Foundation repair and waterproofing, that's the backbone of what they do, from cracks and wood damage to crawl space moisture and mold. Their trained crews fix the problem of the source of the issue. The owners are proud Alabama locals, and they're going to call this place home for the rest of their time here in this state. They're committed to serving families across Alabama and the state of Tennessee. And you know what? The Deep South reputation means everything. That's why Deep South Construction Pros, they put their name on every job. They treat every home like it's their own, with real Southern hospitality, honest answers, and fair pricing. So get started today. Simply go to deepsouthconstructionpros.com. That's deepsouthconstructionpros.com. Your home, their commitment, because if it's your home, it matters to them. That's Deep South Construction Pros.
Great visit with Mike Rodak, covers Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama on the road taking on 22nd ranked Tennessee. 5 o'clock the start time. It'll be televised by ESPN. You get that inside of Food City Center there in Knoxville, Tennessee. Last check was around a 4.5, 5-point favorite. I think we got an early line that got sent in from someone. 4.5, 5. I said 5.5. That was my initial guess.
Yeah, I've not seen one yet for the Alabama-Tennessee game. The Florida game is 9.5 currently at DraftKings against Arkansas.
Also coming up tomorrow, you've got Auburn. They host Ole Miss, 7:30 must-win game. Another one there at Neville Arena. Number 20, Arkansas is at number 7, Florida. 9.5 is the line in that one. The Gators favorite at home and playing really good basketball. Oklahoma's at LSU. Texas at Texas A&M. That's a big one. Georgia, they need to hold serve at home as they host a bad South Carolina team. Vanderbilt is at Kentucky at 1 o'clock and getting started Missouri and Mississippi State in the hump.
It's a crazy stat that Alabama's lost 5 in a row to the Tennessee Volunteers in basketball, and Bama hasn't scored more than 76 points against a Rick Barnes team.
They D him up. They made things tough.
As a matter of fact, against Tennessee overall, I think the number was 2009. That's what Mike Rodak just told us last time that Alabama scored, I believe, above 80 against a Tennessee team. They play defense.
They get after it, for sure.
They
800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Jason's in Pelham. Hey, Jason, how are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. A pleasure to be on your show. And just like Tennessee will one day have to win a football game again in Tuscaloosa, Alabama will have to beat Tennessee somehow or other in basketball. So stay tuned.
Yeah, could be a good weekend for that, right?
That's right.
Oh, it could be. It very well could be. Charles Bediako, I don't think anybody has mentioned this much about that situation, but imagine if Nick Oates had told him when he came back, obviously he was looking for help, financial, whatever. And imagine if Nick Oates had said, look, Charles, your eligibility is used up. I don't know you. You're going to have to move on someplace else. What kind of message would that have sent to future recruits who Nate Oates was going to be looking up very shortly? After I'm finished with you, I don't know you. I can't help you anymore after you leave Alabama. I don't think Nate Oates would have wanted that kind of image promoted for his program. And I think he did the right thing. I think he did the only thing he could do, and that was lend Charles Bediako a hand.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody's taken that angle or not. If I could think of it, I'm satisfied 20 million others could as well.
I agree with you, Jason, on the Bediako thing with Nate Oates. And given the upside down nature and all the other crazy, ridiculous things, well, we used to view them as ridiculous. Now they're the norm that we've seen here lately. Why would you not? So, yes, you stay up with your player. And, by the way, he's a 7-foot guy who's really talented and knows your system.
True. A couple of weeks ago, the week after the Super Bowl, I was listening, or I got on my laptop one morning, and there was a podcast that Boomer Esiason was in charge of. And on the podcast, he mentioned something called a California jock tax. Are any of you familiar with California jock tax?
I
No.
know they're heavily taxed in the state of California, so if you tell me that there's a specific jock tax, I would not be surprised.
Well, get this. According to Esiason, if you come to California as a professional athlete and you're there one day for a game, they will tax your earnings for one day. And Esiason hypothesized that it cost Sam Darnold for 9 days of living in California, 7 the week of the Super Bowl, and 1 day for games against the 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams, that it cost him right at $250,000 in California jock tax.
It's 13.3%.
Wow.
There is such a thing.
Yes. And it's called a
Wow.
jock tax.
That makes me wonder what it cost Alabama to play in the Rose Bowl. That's a lot of money.
It applies to non-resident professional athletes and entertainers based on duty days spent working in
Wow.
the state. It applies to game checks, bonuses, and a portion of their annual salary.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yep.
Well, I guess Boomer wasn't just whistling in the dark there or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet most of those athletes are well aware when they go to California how much they're about to get hit.
Well, one other thing, and I'll let you fellas go. I know you've got a lot of other people to talk to and whatnot, but do any of you know anything about how I could break into voiceover narration? I know that it's probably already in the can, but I would have worked for free to have done some of the narration for that ESPN special that's going to come out about Nick Saban, the 6-part documentary.
Yeah.
I would have worked for free to do that.
Ooh.
Well, I'll tell you what, can you, if you would text into the show at 205-834-9450, and that way, and we can kind of give you a couple of ideas potentially of if you want to go down that road, but just text into the show, and then we'll be more than happy to provide you with some 411 on that.
Could you give us like a Once Upon a Time in a Galaxy Far, Far Away, like open to a trailer real quick?
Well, let me see if you can guess who this is. And I'm not going to pull this out of an ESPN sound studio or anything. I know it's kind of sophomoric, but just give me just 1 second here. See if you can guess who this is. Favre's time in Green Bay had evoked memories of champions past.
Oh, it's John Facenda.
The names Starr and Lombardi were invoked regularly.
Yeah, John Facenda.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Hey, at least somebody knew who he was.
Jason, thank you for the call. We got to run. Call back anytime and text into the show. We'll try to get you some information. 3-Man Front continues. 11:37. Well, if it was 1:37, it's 1:37 somewhere. Three-man front. We continue on this Friday. Landrum, Pat, and Molly. We had significant storm damage. 2-inch size hail in some places here in Metro Birmingham, around the state of Alabama. First of all, hope everyone is doing well. But if maybe your roof, maybe the outside of your car is not doing well, you've got damage. Well, let's just start with the roof. Our friends at Noto Roofing, they can take care of you. They're family owned. You got brothers Sammy and Matt. Sammy's going to answer the phone when you call Noto today. Chris is going to come out to your home. I was talking with Chris yesterday, and he said, yeah, the significant hail and what it can do to your roof. Look, you might be good to go, but it's certainly worth getting the free inspection that they offer to all Jocks listeners at Noto Roofing. They offer financing to help with payments, and they will work alongside your insurance company. I'm sure a lot of insurance companies and agents very busy this morning, and they'll assist in the claims process. They're going to be very open and honest about what you need, and they will perform a test on your roof, not only for your shingles, to make sure every part of your roof is functioning properly, so you know you're good to go. It's Noto Roofing, guys I know and guys I trust. Sammy and Matt, give them a call today, 205-848-2299, or go to noto roofing.com.
So it's interesting. Ever since last Sunday morning when the United States won the gold medal in men's hockey, a lot of people have been wondering not only about the teeth of Jack Hughes, but where's the winning puck? Did you ever think about that? It goes into the net. I think that's a pretty famous puck, right?
Yeah.
So folks have been trying to find out where that puck went. It's kind of interesting to me. Where did it go?
After it went in the right side of the net.
So a spokesperson for the International Ice Hockey Federation, they have confirmed to Sportico that the puck that scored the game-winning goal from the United States-Canada gold medal game in Milan is currently at the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, Canada. It's interesting that it is in the country of Canada and not somewhere in the United States. But that is the home of the Hockey Hall of Fame.
I almost like that more.
You like that?
They have to pass by it.
And have to look at it?
They have to pass by the exhibit and look at it. Somebody had the idea to take the piece of the tooth, put that in a little piece of glass. Remember the high stick that caused this?
Mm-hmm. It's so funny. I was looking at some spring training baseball stuff yesterday afternoon, and Tyler O'Neill, who is a behemoth of a man, I mean, he is a workout god. He played for the Cardinals for a number of years, and then he went to the Boston Red Sox, and he now plays for the Baltimore Orioles. And so he was giving an interview yesterday afternoon, and they literally asked him because his father played, he was like a Canadian world champion bodybuilder. And so very famous in Canada, Tyler O'Neill's dad. And Tyler plays, obviously, he's been a successful baseball player in the United States. And so they had to ask him yesterday in the scrum of media, what did you think about the United States win against the Canadians? What was the first thing you think he went to?
It's our sport. We're still the best?
No.
Oh, no. Sidney Crosby.
No, it was the fact that it's not real hockey. That it wasn't 5-on-5 in overtime. So a Major League Baseball player asked about his thoughts on the United States beating your homeland. He immediately goes to the excuse, well, 3-on-3, that's not real hockey. It needs to be 5-on-5. So that's what
I'm going to claim when my Braves get beat in extra innings.
It's the regular season. Runner. It's not real baseball.
Because the ghost runner says, yeah.
So apparently,
it doesn't make me feel any better.
And once again, go back and look. 2010 gold medal game, overtime. United States loses on Crosby's shot that wins the gold for Canada. Go look at the monitor. It was 4-on-4 hockey. It was not 5-on-5 hockey. And of course, they changed it a couple years ago to 3-on-3 in overtime. But when they won the gold before, it wasn't 5-on-5. But it just gets me how that is the narrative that everyone wants to talk about, at least north of the border. That's their excuse.
Pat, they don't know how to handle it.
Well, no, because
I think they expected it to a certain level with the women, but with the men, they were absolutely convinced that they were going to win that game.
Yeah.
They were favored, weren't they?
Yes. They were.
And if you saw the shots on goal, you watched the game that we did, Canadians were living on the United States side of the ice.
Yeah, at one point, I think it was 33-18.
Yeah.
That they had outshot us.
Give me a break. It hurts. It sucks. Enjoy it for the next 4 years. We'll go to Nice and we'll do it again.
I think the Canadians are going to get us back in the World Baseball Classic.
No way.
Freddie Freeman,
Well,
Tyler O'Neill.
if we start going dual citizenship, or we start doing when some of the athletes didn't just go and pick a country to go and play for.
Yeah. Well, they go back in their heritage. That's what they're doing now. Especially with some of these teams that they're trying to field a team. Like they'll get into their ancestry.com and they'll find out that 17 cousins removed that they were Italian and they're going to go play for the Italian baseball team.
Does Great Britain still get their uniforms printed at Alvin's Island?
I think it's the same ugly jersey and the ugly font and everything. It's the most boring thing you've ever seen in your life.
Just in my best British voice, they're telling us we have to have uniforms. All right, I got a buddy's got a screen printing shop.
I mean, they have good kits in soccer.
Yeah.
You look at Champions League and
They got a
soccer
color,
league, Premier League.
They got a very colorful flag, right?
Yeah. Union Jack, very famous. They just have it's just what, GBR or something.
But then
like
you
that.
realize why they didn't go to the trouble of designing a uniform.
Yeah.
When you watch them play.
They actually made a little noise last time. I didn't get very far, but I think they won a game or two.
Who's the best player to ever come out of Great Britain?
I'm sure I would guess that it has to be someone that came off of one of the United Kingdom's islands in the Caribbean that they own.
That we're not counting that.
No, but that's part of the United Kingdom.
I know it is.
Are you talking about the island of England?
I know it is, but when a player from Puerto Rico, I know United States, but I think just Puerto Rico.
Just Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Right. You might be searching a while on that one.
Harry Ford?
Not familiar with his baseball acumen.
Okay. Why? So Jazz Chisholm was playing for him, but he would not be.
Maybe his mom's British. I don't know, but we'll see.
Gary Gill Hill. That's the top talent coming out of Great Britain.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Player to watch.
Well, if these storms told you anything yesterday afternoon, you need to make sure that your home is protected from falling limbs and trees. And if you had some limbs and trees fall on your property yesterday afternoon, that's where Golston Tree Service comes in at 205-337-4443. Golston's licensed pros that can handle everything from trimming and pruning to full tree removals. They're fast, safe, and affordable. So don't wait until that next storm causes the damage. You need to call Golston Tree Service today. Get on the books. Get them out to your property as soon as possible. 205-337-4443.
Got our friend JR is going to join us. Where is the sharp money going? You don't want to miss that. Three-man front continues on Jocks. 11:49, three-man front on this Friday. Freebird coming back. We all going to think hockey now when we hear Freebird. JR joining us, takingvegas.com. JR, hockey, you called it. Live pick, impromptu pick on the air. You said United States, Slovakia, it's not going to be a contest. We had our way with the Slovakians on the way to gold on Sunday. How are you, my friend? God bless America.
Yeah, God bless America, man. I love hockey, and to win that game the way that we did in the overtime and listen to the Canadians pout like little children, it really was just fantastic. I mean, you couldn't have had a better guy in Jack Hughes to get the winning goal. He's been a phenomenal representation of the United States and the New Jersey Devils. It really was great, man. I told you guys, lay the 2.5 goals, I believe it was, 2.5 or 3.5 against Slovakia. I knew that we were going to come out and play great, and we did. I didn't call the gold medal, but nonetheless, I bet the gold medal. So that was a nice W for us. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to take care of everybody with a big winner tonight in the NBA. It's my NBA week. You get it for free. And as a big bonus, I don't need to tell you, Alabama college basketball, they've been red hot. They're playing Tennessee tomorrow. I have that line at between 3.5 and 4.5. Tennessee will be the favorite. I'm going to give you the winner of that game, too. So text the word WIN, W-I-N, to the number 545454. Take advantage of my NBA game of the week. It's going to come free via text message. And the big winner between tomorrow's matchup, Alabama-Tennessee. Text WIN to the number 545454.
JR, obviously, U.S. hockey, that's been the story here stateside. But from a betting and volume perspective, what did the numbers tell you about the number of Americans? We know how many watched. It was 18.6, but how many folks laid some cash on U.S. versus Canada?
Oh, it's funny because even in my office, we have true Americans, and a couple of them, we called them traitors to their nation because they bet Canada.
Oh.
So believe it or not, I mean, look, the Canadians were an obvious favorite in the game. The line came down a lot, and I think it was because that the odds makers saw how good the U.S. team was playing as a team. And that really is what it takes, especially in Olympic hockey, to be able to, just like in 1980, we didn't win and beat the Soviets because we were better. It's because we played better team hockey. And they all came together and they wanted it more. And as much as I'll sit here and tell you, I bet U.S., but I didn't think they were the better talented team. I just felt they were better coached. I thought they were playing cohesive, especially against Slovakia. So, if I had to guess, I would say at least 70, if not 75% of America bet on the U.S. if they were betting the game. But there were some folks out there that thought that they were smarter than the rest of us, and they bet Canada, and they unfortunately look like not only they lost money, but they must feel like absolute garbage betting against their country.
Our buddy JR joining us here on Three Man Front and joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. All right, we'd be remiss. Got to talk about money management. You go from football season to college basketball, the NBA, the NHL. But one thing stays the same. You tell people, manage that money. Do it responsibly if you want to have fun.
Listen, you only have a certain amount that you can play with, right? You got discretionary capital that you could afford to lose, but who likes losing? I mean, none of us like to lose money. So use what money you have and be smart about it. You want to transact just like as if, forget about if it's only $1,000, pretend it's $100,000, and look at it percentage-wise the same way. How much of your bankroll should you be betting on each individual game? When to make your increases? Now, I lay out this strategy. I tell people based on their bankroll how many games or net wins it should be before you increase by either 25 or 30 or even 50% on your next set of games. And you got to have built-in protection. You want to protect your principal balance, and you sure don't want to give back all your profit at once. So have something built in where if you lose, let's say 2 net games, you want to bring your bet down maybe by 20 or 25 or 33%. So this is what we lay out. We have strategies that have been built to withstand the test of time. They work, and they make our clients money. So, again, one of the things I do all the time, you guys know this, I like to start you off with a nice bankroll builder, and my NBA game of the week will do that. with this game tonight and the winner of tomorrow's matchup with Alabama, Tennessee. So text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 545454. Let me give you this huge winner in the NBA tonight and my pick in tomorrow's matchup between Alabama, Tennessee. Again, text WIN to 545454.
JR, less than a minute. Your free pick tonight or this weekend for our great listeners coming from the NHL. We love hockey now.
I do love the NHL. I mean, I watch a lot of the NHL, and I get a lot of great information on the NHL. So last night I told everyone to use the Wild against the Avalanche. They got that win. The night before, the Avalanche beat the Mammoth. Well, tonight, the Wild are playing the Mammoth. The Mammoth are the favorite, obviously, because they're at home. I want you to get in the Utah Mammoth to win this game, but use the money line, not the puck line. They're going to be minus 135. Get in the Utah Mammoth.
Wish they would have used the name Yetis, but I digress. JR, thank you for the time. As always, we'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.
Sounds good. You guys too. Go out there and let's make some money.
Sounds good. JR, once again, he likes the Mammoth. It's just still, it's going to take some getting used to.